feel a sense of the water in here today? We've got a ripple effect going on with the seats, if you haven't noticed. They're a little bit different today. My name is Jeanmarie Eck. Welcome to my second chapel service, my last chapel service, and my alternative chapel service. So you're in for something a little bit different today. And so I'm inviting you all to trust the process as I am here trusting the process in what is unfolding today. And you'll need a couple things to be a part of this service. When you came in, you should have received a white piece of paper that says, I let go, a blue piece of paper that says, I trust life, and a pencil. Does anyone not have any of these items? Please raise your hand. The ushers will bring them to you. Awesome, we're all set. And so for our online viewers, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the service today. And I invite you to take out a couple of pieces of paper and join us in this process. And so let's begin with prayer. So we turn within and we take a deep breath. As we center ourselves into the sacred presence of Spirit. We allow ourselves to be in the slower, deliberate flow of life. As we allow ourselves to be in the flow at this service, we know that everything we need is provided for us. As we come with our questions, we allow ourselves to be at peace with whatever unfolds, whatever answers are revealed, whatever more questions are unfolding and revealed. We're in the moment. We are at peace and we are one with each other, one with God, one with all life and all good. And in this realization, we are truly grateful. And so it is. Amen. So part of this service involves this water. The paper that I gave you, the white paper, is a special water-dissolving paper. It's biodegradable, non-toxic paper. It doesn't hurt the environment, and it dissolves in water. So there'll be a point in the service that I'll let you know about where we'll be adding the paper to the water. We'll be releasing and affirming. So the white paper is the release paper. The blue paper is the one for affirming that you will keep. You'll get to take with you. Don't put it in the water. It doesn't dissolve in the water. Have any of you heard of the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto? He studied water crystals, and he discovered that words of affirmation, words of compassion, words of gratitude create beautiful crystals in the water like this one here. And so we're going to bless the water here today by a water blessing that we have here where you'll say your own name and you'll say the affirmation. Because it's been discovered that when we say positive affirmations for ourselves, the water creates beautiful crystals. So if you're desiring to bless the water that you drink every day, say your positive affirmations and rev it up. Give it that higher energy. And so we're going to do that today. And so let us join together in this affirmation with your own name. Together. Jeanmarie, I love you. Jeanmarie, I thank you. Jeanmarie, I respect you. And feel the truth of that in your being. Appreciate yourself and all that you are. And know that all that is around you, the energy around you, is blessed. And that energy goes out to bless the world, and so it is. Do you truly trust life? Do you trust that all things are working together for your good? Do you trust that all that you have been working towards will come to fruition? Do you trust that you have all the talents and abilities that you need to do the work that your heart is calling on you to do in your life? Do these questions sound familiar to you? These are the questions that have been arising for me lately. And it's no surprise, I'm a third-year ministerial student, which means that next year I'm going to be applying for work as an ordained Unity minister. And I've prayed about these questions. Where will I go? What will I do? And the guidance I've received is focus on the work that is before you to do. Focus on the work of this year, your third year in ministerial school, and on this time at Unity Village, and be in the moment. And while Spirit says to focus on the now, life seems to be shouting from every corner. So what are you going to do after you graduate? And I've kept count, and not a day has gone by since I started my third year that someone, friends, coworkers, random people that I've met along the way, has not asked me, so what are you going to do after you graduate? All right, correction. There was one day where no one asked me. It was last weekend when I was on silent retreat. And they couldn't ask because they were in the silence. And it was a blissful day. But then when we chanted 21 ohms, we came out of the silence, we went out into the lobby to have refreshments, and I was so at peace, so knowing my oneness. And someone comes up to me that I don't know yet from the retreat and says, "You're a ministerial student, aren't you?" "Yeah." "Third year?" "Uh-huh." "So, what are you going to do after you graduate?" Life does have a sense of humor. And my answer has typically been, "Oh, I don't know yet. I'm following Spirit's guidance and where that'll lead me." And, funny, no one has said, "Wow, that's wonderful. Spirit-led, living in the moment." No. The response has been, "Well, surely you want to move back to New York where you're from and live with your husband, or do you like this area? Would you want to move here? Would he move here with you? And what kind of church do you want?" And then it gets me thinking, well, I should have answers to these questions. I should have a plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and get a church, write a book, go on Oprah, I don't know, run for Congress, right? And yet I didn't do all this for nothing. I've got to be a success. Oh, how the head wants to take over. The pressure, the stress. Has that happened to you? Or you've gathered enough evidence to prove that your life needs to be highly structured and planned and timed out, tightly packed with as much stuff to do as possible just to make it. The mind wants to make a road, to move from A to B, to work things out so we can be in control, or think we are. How will we be successful if we don't have a gauge? Pass, fail, win, lose, church, no church. The ego wants to have an identity, to have a status, to make a name for itself, to be somebody. But when you take the path of the heart, the path that I have chosen, you operate from a different principle. And you shift from the road to the river. You follow your intuition. You choose to respond in love and serve in love, learning to live from within out, living authentically. And then life doesn't always move in straight lines, and answers don't always come to you in the way that your mind expects them to come. Pray. Listen. Be compassionate. Willingly forgive. Tears are healing. Go have some fun. But not knowing what comes next. That feels like darkness. And darkness doesn't feel safe. I learned that darkness wasn't safe when I was a child. Did any of you have a basement when you were a kid? Was a dark basement not one of the scariest things that you could think of? When I was down in the basement with the lights on, I was fine. But when I went down there and the lights were off, I mean, who knows what kind of creepy, crawly, furry things might be down there. And I had a very vivid imagination. And sometimes when I was in my basement, someone from my family would turn off the top light on the stairs, presumably not knowing I was down there, I would hope. And I'd have to turn off the light in the room and walk that treacherous journey, white-knuckling it up the stairs, step by step, until I finally got my hand on that precious doorknob. Meditation can feel like that sometimes. Do you ever turn within and go, whoa, it's dark in here? This doesn't feel safe. I have no idea what things are going to show up in here. I don't want to know what's in my subconscious. I better open up my eyes quick. I had an experience of that when I went on an insight meditation retreat. We had a sitting practice where we sat in meditation, and then after that, we went outside and we had a walking practice. And when I got outside, there was a long, dark road ahead of me, and it was dark, basement dark outside. and there I was, and I looked at it, and I said, you know, this darkness looks like the darkness within me. And so here I am, I have this opportunity to kind of be inside myself and to physically experience what it would be like to move forward in that darkness. And I saw a few brave souls up ahead of me on the path, and I thought, well, if they can go a little further, maybe I could go a little further. And so I took my baby steps down the road in the pitch dark, breathing, until I heard the bell to return inside for meditation. And then when I got back inside and I got on my bench, I found that it felt a little safer, and I could go a little deeper. Those people who went ahead of me, they were mentors to me, and they didn't even know it. And it's important for us to find our mentors, our role models, like the Fillmores, those people who have gone a little deeper and walked a little further on the spiritual path, or a lot further in some cases. And they tell us, hey, it's okay. It's safe here. Being in the flow, trusting life, can seem unsafe because it's not the way of logic and reason. It's not that A to B thinking, the way that our minds have been trained to go. We have a powerful internal support system, which is our true nature, but we can get blinded by an unhealthy ego identity. And we experience healing when we learn to trust our essential nature once again. But how did we learn not to trust our essential nature to begin with? Have you asked this question? And if it's truly who we are, how do we miss it? I was considering this question, and I went to a source. I went to a book of one of my mentors, Robert Brummett, called Birthing a Greater Reality. And I found a passage that explains how we lost the ability to trust our essential nature. Much of our wounding comes in the form of betrayal. And betrayal destroys our ability to trust. But this trust is not in another person or in some God in the sky. Our trust is in life itself. And our trust is in ourself, not in the personality, but in our own essential nature, our true self. So we lost our ability to trust through experiences of betrayal. Have you ever felt betrayed by someone or something in your life? Have you put your trust in someone and they didn't come through? Promises not kept, gifts not given, raises not given. Have you felt betrayed by your body, by your mind? How about betrayed by a whole career? All of these questions resonated with me, but it was that last one that really triggered me. That last one, you know, when you gets caught up in your throat, that feeling? Yeah. This experience of graduating school, being excited for a new career, it feels familiar. I had a career, another one before this, and it didn't go quite the way that I planned it to go. Am I destined to repeat myself? Is it safe to trust? So I turned the page in the book, and I discovered a poem that Robert wrote, and it helped me to understand my desire to trust and my struggle between the head and the heart. And I'm so grateful that he could be here today to share it with us.
The title of the poem is On Rivers and Roads. The heart is like a river, wandering through time and space, endlessly yearning for the taste of the sea. The mind is like a road, hard and straight, reaching from city to town to village, endlessly connecting place to place. The journey of the heart makes little sense to the mind. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Why do you wander so aimlessly, wasting your time and your energy? The heart replies, as gravity is to water, gathering it ever into the sea, so is the yearning for the divine to the heart, drawing it ever into the one. When the heart surrenders to her yearning, life becomes a river, flowing with no effort, moving with no design, and yet with the absolute certainty that it's taking us home.
Thank you. And so as the poem says, when the heart surrenders its yearning for the divine, life flows like gravity to the water, flowing home. And life is constantly changing, and while we may attempt to stick to our 5 or 10-year plan, everything around us changes. Our plans fail when we become inflexible. We want to be like water coming down the mountain, letting the heart lead us home again and again. And so today, we're going to use the water to wash away a thought that we've grown attached to, a thought that is keeping us from trusting life. And so we take that intention into our time of meditation. And so remember that white piece of paper that you got when you came in? Now's the time to take that one out. And so why don't you take it out and put it into your hand. And so as we go into this time of meditation, you're setting your intention. And I'll invite you later on to write on the paper what you're going to release, and then to come forward and release it into the water. And for now, let us close our outer eyes and take a deep breath. As we feel the support of the chair beneath us, we allow ourselves to relax into the flow of this moment. And as we breathe, we imagine cool, refreshing, comforting waters flowing from the top of our head, flowing over our shoulders, down our arms, our torsos, down our legs, and into our feet, Feeling our whole bodies in the flow. As we center within into our heart space, we know that this is a safe place, that we're enfolded in the light and love of Spirit. And we're safe to ask ourselves the question, what is it that is mine to release in order to trust life? We look into ourselves and allow to bubble up whatever fear we may have been carrying. Whatever thought arises that is unlike trusting life. When we think of our dreams, our goals for our lives, what is it that is that one deeper thought that seems to stand in the way? And so we rest for a moment in this question, in the silence. And as we breathe, breathing into our hearts, knowing we're in the flow, knowing we're in a safe, loving space, we ask the question of what is a little bit deeper. Can we take a step a little bit further? Is there anything underneath that fear that wants to be revealed? We allow that to come into our consciousness now. With that thought in mind, we begin to bring our attention to our hands, to the paper that we're holding. As we first put the energy of that fear, that thought into the paper, when you're ready, gently open your eyes and reach for your pencil and add your words to the paper. It could be one word. It could be in the form of a sentence. I release the fear of, and whatever the fear is, it has no power in my life. So in the silence, invite you with intention and your own timing to bring your paper to the water and release it. watch your fear dissolve into the water, the healing water representing spirit. So we bless the water, and knowing our own love for ourselves and engaging in this process of releasing. We're grateful for this opportunity. Amen. What if the race is over? And we don't have to prove ourselves. And we don't have to worry about the impressive resume and the important network connections. What would life look like then? The song leaves us with the question, what then? Perhaps if we stop trying to be like other people or compare ourselves to other people, we could be our true selves and we could know our wholeness, and that would be enough. Sometimes when we run the race of life, we feel like we might just run off of a cliff. There's an ancient Zen teaching about a man who was running the race of life, and he did fall off a cliff. He fell off, and he was able to grab hold of a branch that was hanging off of the cliff face. And when he looked down, he saw the rough and treacherous waters beneath him, the waters of his future before him. They didn't look so flowing and peaceful. And he looked up, and he saw a tiger growling at him, scratching and crawling towards him, the fears, the betrayals of the past. And then he looked right next to him, and there was a strawberry plant growing off of the cliff face. And there's a beautiful, ripe, perfect strawberry, and he reached out with the free hand, and he grabbed the strawberry, and he tasted it. And with a smile on his face, he said, delicious. And that's how the story ends. We don't know what happened to the man. But we do know that in order to have enjoyed that strawberry, he had to have been in the moment. He must have been fully present, and he must have been trusting life. When we trust life, when we embrace the present moment, we get to experience the sweetness that is ever present before us when we're awake to it. And everything that we need is available to us now. Do we believe that? That right here in the present moment, we have all the air that we need. We have all the water to drink. We generally have all the food to eat. We have clothing. We have shelter. But it's not these basic needs that keep us from not trusting life. It's that fear that everything is not as it should be. And we may be called to create change in the world as our ministry, change that can benefit many people. But when we put off our happiness to a time when everything is perfect, happiness becomes elusive and life becomes unsatisfying. I know I've done a lot of suffering in my own life through expecting things to be perfect and life showing up in a different way. But what if perfect was not what we thought it to be? What if in the imperfection there truly was perfection, divine order? This summer, I took transpersonal psychology with Robert Brummett, and on the last day of class, I was sitting in class and I remembered a dream that I had the night before. That ever happened to you? Just remember a dream? And I said, Robert, I remember a dream I had last night. You were in it. And you said that the journal entry that I wrote the night before was a really good insight. And I remember thinking, how did Robert see my journal? Robert told me that I should check out that journal entry, and over the break I had it in my iPhone. And I checked it out in my iPhone, and I had written, I recognize that things are not perfect. However, they're perfectly designed for my growth. And I shared this with Robert, and he said, that is a good insight. To recognize the perfection in all things. And it was one of those divine aha moments that I had, where life was confirming for me what my inner voice was saying, that life is perfect even in its imperfection. Trust the process. I came to ministerial school on a quest for wholeness, and I found the answer to the question that is at the heart of why I came here. Who have you come here to be? And the answer was confirmed for me by this card that I randomly selected at the silent retreat I went on last weekend. It says, I have come here to be whole. I release any belief that I need anyone or anything to complete me. As I turn within, I discover that at the depths of my being, I am whole and perfect, right here and right now, and I rejoice in my wholeness. I've come here to be whole, to know my wholeness, and when I know my own wholeness, I'm able to see the wholeness in each person and to experience the wholeness of life and the wholeness of God expressing as my life. And so what about that other question? So what are you going to do after you graduate? Anybody? I'm still living in that question. And that's exciting. All the possibilities. And even if I knew the answer, I know that life is going to keep providing me with more questions. And I have no doubt that I will be serving in my right place, that Spirit is guiding me to my right and perfect ministry, that I'll be sharing my talents and gifts in joy and in love. But for now, I get to savor this time with you. It's a beautiful time. And I know that nothing is missing. I'm whole and complete. And I'm trusting the process. I trust life. In Letters to a Young Poet, Rainer Maria Rilke shares his wisdom about living in the question. Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now, because you wouldn't be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday in the future, without even noticing it, you'll live your way into the answer. And so now we get to live our way into trusting life. And I invite you to take out your blue card. And so we know that as we've released the fear into the water, that we've created a vacuum. And in unity, when we practice denial, we follow that up with affirmation. And so we're going to just take a few moments in meditation to turn within as we consider the opposite of the fear that we released. And we become open to what it is we need to affirm to trust life. So just take a deep breath as you hold your card in your hand to place your intention. And in the flow of divine mind, allow to arise into your consciousness the opposite of that fear. What is it that you need to know to trust life? When that word comes to you or that affirmation comes to you, I invite you to open your eyes and write it on your card. And if a word has come up for you, you might write, I am, and that word, and I trust life. Like for me, it would be, I am whole, and I trust life. Or whatever affirmation is coming forth for you now. Just one sentence that you can affirm for yourself. So I invite you now to stand and find 2 or 3 people and share your affirmation with them, with love, with joy, and trust. Please stand and share your affirmation with your friends. And so wrap up that last affirmation and let us return to our seats as we affirm together. I trust life to bring forth my highest good. Let us know this together. I trust life to bring forth my highest good. And so it is. Let us affirm together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is because I am.
I am as God created me. I am the light of the world. I am as God created me. I am